Welcome back, everyone, to the second live of today. And we have a very, very wonderful guest. He was interviewed a few weeks ago, and people said, how do you have a chef like him on and not have him cook? So, of course, we're going to have him cook for you today. And he's actually making something that I actually requested, a sweet potato falafel, which it's like so good. You guys are going to just love it. I promise you. If you don't know who he is, his name is Chef Del Sroufe. He's the author of many best-selling books, including many of the Forks Over Knives series. But here's one that you may want to know about if you don't have. It's called Better Than Vegan. And please welcome Chef Extraordinaire and my friend, Chef Del. Thanks for coming back.
Chef AJ, I love you. And I tell you why I love you more than most. It's because you know how to pronounce that name.
Well, you always told me it rhymes with loaf.
Rhymes with loaf.
Yeah. I'm sure you get a lot of Sroufe.
I get it all.
Yeah. That's
I get it all. And sadly, I've gotten it from a few friends. So I'm like, oh boy.
Well, luckily, Del is easy to pronounce, easy to spell too.
Yeah, we'll go by that.
So what you gonna make for us today?
I am gonna make, and I wanna start it early so we can maybe see the end product in an hour. I'm gonna make for you, at your request, sweet potato falafel. And I tell you what, it's a delicious recipe, and it's an easy recipe. It's also versatile, and I'll show you what I mean as we go. But let me go ahead and get started, and then we'll talk as we go. So I'm starting off. I baked off 3 medium to large sweet potatoes, yams, if you will, and you put them. I poke them with a fork so that they don't burst, and throw them in a 350 oven for about an hour and 15 minutes until they're tender. You want these tender so that you don't want a crunchy falafel unnecessarily, do you? And then you're going to add to that 1 medium onion, finely diced. You're going to add some parsley, or I'm adding today cilantro, just because I'm in the mood and because it's what I had on hand. Either one. If you don't like cilantro, by sure, use your parsley. And then we're going to add, because we're using a sweet potato, which has a lot of water content in it, we're going to add some arrowroot. Now, I think the recipe has 1 tablespoon, but I think I like 2 tablespoons better. Arrowroot powder is just a thickener. It's a starch. You don't use very much of it mostly. You can use cornstarch. I think cornstarch tends to be more highly processed than does the arrowroot, but it's up to you. And then we're going to add some black pepper. We're going to add some salt. Optional, of course, is always the salt. And we're going to add some coriander. Coriander is from the same plant as cilantro, but it's the seed of the plant and has a much more distinctive flavor than the cilantro. So if you don't like cilantro, that does not necessarily mean that you won't like coriander. Then we're going to add some cumin to that, some cayenne pepper, and somewhere lemon juice.
Del, people are asking if there's a way to see what you're doing.
They cannot see me.
They can only see you. They can't see the other part. Like we see you, but I see your third camera. But I think what's happening is that I don't know. I think maybe because the volume is turned off, it's not making it come to the forefront. Do you know what I'm saying? The way Zoom works.
Yeah. Well, let me mute you on this.
Guys, thank you for mentioning. I can see your thing now.
All right, we're going to get rid of this other camera then and make it all about the food. All right, so here's and we've got a food processor here. You want to use a food processor for this. So you can see I've added my sweet potato, cilantro in this case, my onion, and then we've got coriander, cumin, arrowroot powder. And did I miss anything? Where did I go? And I think that's it. Oh, and sea salt if you're using salt, okay? And then you're going to take that, and I'm hiding my lid somewhere. Oh, there it goes. The whole idea of us all cooking in our quarantine houses is it changes the game a little bit, doesn't it? You know, you end up having to rearrange everything. All right, so can you hear me okay?
I can, and you know who's watching? Somebody with your same last name from Indiana.
Is that my baby brother?
Well, if Jeffrey's your baby brother, it's your baby brother.
That is my baby brother. Hello, baby brother. Let's see if I can turn the volume up on you a little bit. I hear you as much. Nobody move. There we go. Little bouncy screen. I hope you're not dizzy this afternoon. All right, so we've got everything in our food processor, and then I'm going to make some noise for a minute while I mix this all together.
I guess I could be talking while he did that. I didn't realize. So how y'all doing? Thanks for being here. I'll just tell you who's up tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Dr. Steve Lawenda, 4 o'clock, Dr. Baxter Montgomery. They're both plant-based doctors. They're awesome. One is a family practice doctor. One is a cardiologist. And again, for priority on those questions, make sure you send them back to us when you get the email that says who the guest is. And if you don't know how to do that, I am going to give you a link to be on my mailing list so that you get the email.
Yum, yum, and yum. All right, so that is basically the beginning of our recipe. Once you've gotten here, you're halfway done. So all you're going to do now is get your baking sheet out, and then we're just going to scoop. And it's nice if you have actually an ice cream scoop like this one. This is probably a 2-ounce ice cream scoop, 3 ounce. And we've got what are these sheets called, AJ?
Silpat or nonstick silicone baking sheets.
Yes, I knew you would know.
Thank you. And Colleen says, we love Chef Del. Who doesn't?
Hi, Colleen. I went and invited my group over here today, so I'm hoping they're watching. Because they want cooking, but about once or twice a week is about enough for me. I'm always telling people how much, as a chef who's done this for 30 years, that there are days when I just don't want to be in a kitchen. And that still is true. So the problem is, if you don't cook, then your healthy options, and I mean options that are oil-free, whole foods and all of that, are less, and you're in trouble. And that's what gets me into trouble more than anything is being sick and tired of being in the kitchen some days. Makes it a little harder to achieve weight loss goals and all of that. And I know you had a question from someone who asked just about that question.
Yeah,
what is this?
Absolutely. Her name is Jean, and she said, could Chef Del please talk about his struggles with weight? What kept you from success, and what helped you succeed?
I'll tell you what, and when I had the most success, when I first came to the Wellness Forum back in 2006, I lost 200 pounds and have still not gained all that weight back. So that puts me statistically ahead of the curve, because most people, 99% of diets fail and people gain the weight back. 99%, right?
I heard 97, but it's probably 99.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to stick these in our oven and let them have at it. My oven tends to run hot, so we'll check it earlier than later. So yeah, I think that for me, I've been on diet since I was 8 years old. I've got a 51 year career as a dietist and have lost hundreds of pounds over and over and over again. And I think my body and my mind and my heart still have diet fatigue. Can I be really that honest about it? And in 2015, I got really focused and I started working out with a trainer
4 days a week, 3-4 days a week. And then I lost 60 more pounds, gained a lot of muscle, and was in better shape than I'd been in since I was a teenager. But I think the burnout, I worked until I left the Wellness Forum. I worked 80 plus hours a week, which means that you don't always give yourself the best self-care. And I think it eventually caught up to me. I mean, and I'll tell you about a day where it came to a head for me. I walked into work one day, and my staff and my business partner were all scared for me. I'm sure I looked a mess. I think I smelled a mess. I think I hadn't bathed in days. I hadn't changed clothes for days. And I think that all I was doing was going home and staring at a wall. And I had some kind of a nervous breakdown, probably. And Pam and I sat and had a talk one day, and I tried to go back to work the next day. And then one day I just blew up and I walked out. And I don't share that story very often, but I did. I walked out, sure that I would never go back. And I went home and I basically stared at the walls for 2 years. And one day I woke up and said, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. It's time to get back to work. And so I've been working out with a physical therapist because I've had a bad back from sitting for 2 years. Started going back to the gym a little bit, focusing on my diet and trying to lose weight, which is a lot harder at the age of 59 than it was at the age of 29, and getting back to being healthy. But it's a slow process, and I'm okay with that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice. Just so you know that now we only see your arms and your chest. I don't like to interrupt people, but when you're on this camera, we see you from the neck down.
Well, we're going to cook some more, so I want to.
Good. No, that's okay. Just want to let you know. And I'm so sorry you had some difficult times, but it seems like you're bouncing back a little bit.
I feel encouraged. I tell you, I think you can't. I don't feel like I'm a person who can give up. I think that I've still got a lot of good life in me, that life is worth living, and that I want to be a happy and healthy person. So having said that, I've been working very hard. I've been working with a physical therapist now for 2 months, and getting my back in shape so that I can exercise more. And I've been focusing on cooking more and getting myself in the kitchen and making healthier food choices and staying away from unhealthy vegan delivery food, which is rampant, by the way. Columbus is now a vegan mecca, but it's not a healthy vegan mecca. You can find plenty of vegan fried chicken and waffles everywhere, but everything's got oil in it and lots of white flour and sugar running amok. So there's that. So I'm focused on getting back into the kitchen and getting more fresh foods in the house, more fresh fruit and vegetables, and doing whatever it takes and taking the time to do it right.
Well, we got a lot of fans. LM says, good for you for not giving up. Susan says, I love this guy. I've struggled so much with eating whole food, plant-based. Gail says, so sorry. You seem like a strong person. Gina says, resilience and tenacity are so important. Jan says, loves how transparent you are. Lynn says, thank you for your honesty. You're very brave. And just people sending lots of love. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it. I tell my story not because I want to. I'd rather not. I tell it to hope that it helps somebody else. I think there's a lot of people out there like me, and what's hard is that you see all over the media, the social media, especially the success stories, and I get it. Success stories sell cookbooks and they sell product and all of that. But you don't see the person that continues to struggle no matter what they seem to do, who gives up, who doesn't know how to stay motivated and all of those things. So you've got to ask for help. You've got to reach out and find someone like Chef AJ to work with, someone like we have a very difficult but very empowering weight loss program at Wellness Forum Health. Find someone to help you set smaller goals to move you forward, because that's really what it comes down to, is one day at a time is how we do this. Maybe even one meal at a time, but I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. Luckily, Chef AJ's got some sweet potato falafel for me, and we're going to start there. But one day at a time is how we do it.
Caroline says, you're the best, Chef Del. Your recipes are incredible. Your millet loaf is my jam. Jan says, we're all success stories in progress. I love that. That's really cool. And LM says, we're stronger than we give ourselves credit for, and she appreciates you sharing your personal struggles. And Kathy says she's part of your tribe. And another Kathy says, I think I have most of his cookbooks. He's written like more recipes practically than anybody else.
I think I've published over 800 recipes, and that might be a good reason for, I wrote a cookbook a year from 2011 to 2016, and contributed to other cookbooks, and went back and ran my own commercial kitchen. So burnout was a likely thing to happen, and it did, sure enough.
You were working too hard, too many hours.
Well, I've changed that and giving myself some time off and moving forward. But I'll say it again: if you're struggling with this, it's okay to ask for help and be honest with yourself of where you are. It's far better than trying to hide behind whatever it is that's going on. Do you want to see my green sauce recipe?
I would love a green sauce, because that's one of my favorite colors.
Well, this one is, we're going to use our blender. You can normally do this in the food processor, but I only have one of those. And you can do it if you have a Vitamix or a high-powered blender. You can do it in there too. And I use cilantro as my herb of choice for this one. But you could do this with basil, or a mix of herbs like basil, cilantro, mint, tarragon, whatever. And we've got in here a 12-ounce package of silken tofu. Now, if you don't eat tofu or don't like tofu, if you don't like tofu, I'd say make it anyway and give it a try, because you're not going to really know what it is. If you don't want to eat tofu, you could cook up a 12-ounce bag of frozen cauliflower and cook it until it's really soft. And then take that and measure out 1.5 cups of that and put it in here to puree, and use that as your base instead of the silken tofu. So we've got our silken tofu. Normally this recipe has tahini in it. I don't have tahini today, so I'm just going to leave that out. And if I leave out the tahini, and the recipe will tell you, then you increase your cilantro from 3/4 cup to 1 cup. We're going to add in some lemon juice, sea salt if you use salt, and some garlic. So an easy recipe. And this is what's frustrating, is these oil-free sauces are not difficult. So I'm surprised we're not seeing more restaurants making those. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make some noise, and I'll be back with you in just a second.
Great. So Jay Shree, I'm not sure this recipe is from his book. I'll find out. But if it is, he'll tell us which one, because he has written so many books, many of them in the Forks Over Knives family series. And then, of course, we have this one called Better Than Vegan. So we'll find out if it is from a book. And Kathy says she's made the green sauce and it's yummy. I'm personally allergic to soy, so I would have to make it with the cauliflower option, but it sounds delicious. Annette says, thanks for sharing your valuable time and life-saving information. Oh, that actually sounds really good, Annette. I'm going to ask him that question, because I always happen to have arugula. I don't always have cilantro. So that actually sounds really yummy. And as soon as he's done blending, I will ask him your question. And again, for these cooking demos, it's different. It's a little easier to get a word in edgewise with a chef. But when I'm interviewing a doctor, like the last interview, it's always best to submit the questions in advance. And you can easily do that by simply signing up to be on our mailing list. We almost never sell you anything. I mean, we do offer programs a couple times a year, but for the most part, all we do is email you who the speakers are and the replays and things like recipes. So I'm going to ask your question in just a moment, Dina, because it's a good one. And I think he said you can do that, actually. I prefer Italian parsley to the curly parsley myself. I think it's a little bit more flavorful. And if you missed the earlier interview with Dr. Mark Hellerberg about whether or not carbs make you fat, you must watch the replay. He was just amazing. First time meeting him, he was the professor of Cyrus Kambata, who is the co-author of the New York Times bestselling book, Mastering Diabetes. It was a terrific interview. And tell me when you're ready, Del, to come back. You back, Del?
I am back.
Oh, great, because there was a question. A question if you can use parsley or arugula instead of the cilantro.
Oh, I'm a big arugula fan. I'm not a big parsley fan. For the sauce, arugula would be delicious. But you whatever makes you happy. I think you could do parsley. I just think it has a lot of flavor that attracts me. So I would go arugula if it was my second choice.
Is this recipe in any one of your books? And if so, which one?
This recipe, I hate that question. 800 recipes, sweetie. 800 recipes. The green sauce, I believe, is China Study Quick and Easy.
And what about the sweet potato falafel?
The sweet potato falafel is not in any cookbook. It is the falafel recipe from the China Study Quick and Easy. We swap out chickpeas for sweet potatoes. And by the way, you could do half and half. If you want to do half chickpeas and half sweet potato, you could do that too.
Well, it sounds amazing.
It's good stuff. More fun is what you can stuff these into whole wheat pita with some chopped lettuce and tomato, if you will. You can also put them on a salad, right? Put them on your bed of greens. I crumble them up sometimes and put them on pizza. It's something different. So I use the green sauce as my base sauce for the pizza, and then I'll add the crumbled falafel and some red onion and maybe some olives on top of that. It makes a delicious, quick and easy pizza, by the way.
If somebody didn't have arrowroot, would there be a substitute, like maybe some oats or something for the thickener?
Yeah, you could probably use oats or any other kind of starchy ingredient that you have, oats or even flour if you wanted to. But yeah, sure.
Great. One time you made this pizza and it wasn't like a wheat crust, or it was like polenta, and it had potatoes and I think caramelized onions and pesto, and it was one of the best things I've ever eaten.
I remember feeding that to you.
It was so good.
Pizza used to be my thing. It's gotten a lot healthier over the years. I used to every Friday night make a whole bunch of pizza dough, and then I would make a tempeh sausage, and I would fry up tempeh in a whole bunch of oil with garlic and sage and salt and pepper. So not healthy, but it was the deal and very popular on Friday nights. My pizzas these days are far and fewer between as I try to eat less bread, and then a lot healthier, oil-free ingredients, of course.
Nice. Have you ever made a beet burger?
I have made a millet and beet burger. I've not made, there's one that's floating out there on the internet that's very popular. If you Google North Star burger recipe, that's our local version of it, and it's quite delicious. We have a restaurant here, an organic restaurant called North Star, and they have a burger. It's beets and rice and some other ingredients, and makes a delicious burger. It's very expensive. It's a $14 burger. So of course it's a rare treat too.
I'm Googling it now. North Star Cafe Veggie Burger Recipe. I heart vegetables. I wonder if that's it.
I think that's it. It's a good one.
Oh, it's got beans in it. Okay. Does it have beans in it? No, wait. Maybe that's
No,
not the
mine
right
never
one.
had. The original has rice, not
Hold on.
beans. Or black? Is it black beans?
Yeah, let's see. Epicurious. Well, there's a couple. It's so many hits are coming up. So you want the one from North? Okay, this one is called a la North Star. It says rice, onion, beets, garlic. Yeah, it says black beans. It says it does have black beans.
That might be right. I've never made it. I've only eaten it.
Yep. Am I allowed to give out the recipe for what you're making? The falafel. You got me thinking about burgers now.
Yeah, the falafel is fine because it's not a published recipe, so have at it.
Okay, so what I do is I'll cut and paste it into the show notes if that's okay, because people are asking for it, and rather than it doesn't make sense to put it in the chat, which is going to disappear. So afterwards, I will do that.
And then the green sauce, you just want to make sure and credit the China Study Quick and Easy Cookbook.
Yeah. I don't have any way to cut and paste that one. So, but that was just a few ingredients, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Okay. There's a lot of people watching from Indiana and Ohio.
My peoples.
Your peeps. Judy says I made the North Star beef burger. It's a lot of preparation and yummy. Judy, which recipe did you use? And he is in Columbus, Ohio, Gina.
Hello. While we're waiting for our falafel to finish cooking, I'm going to go sit in another spot of the house. Did you freeze up on me?
Oh, no, I'm right here. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Wow, you almost look like a magic show. You weren't just seeing your face.
Yeah, there's another window. You can't get away from the windows in this house.
Yeah. So Del, did you always want to be a chef, or did you ever want to be something else?
My first love is music, and if I had the security that I have now when I was a 20-year-old, I'd have gone to music school. I studied music in high school. I wanted to go to college to study music. And my dad kind of talked me out of it. He said, you'd be better off having a degree that would give you some job safety and then going back and using music as a hobby. I don't agree. These days, I think you should follow your passion, whatever it is. Now, I'm a lucky guy. I've got lots of skills, and I've been cooking all my life, and I fell into cooking, and it ended up being a good thing. But music would have been my first love. I would have been a singer, by the way. Was my first choice.
Wow. You want to sing now?
Oh, pick a song. Pick something from the standards list, and I'll see.
The standards. I love Frankie Valli. Would that be considered standards? I like him.
No, that's a little high for my voice.
Okay, so standards. What? Give me an example of what a standard is, because I'm.
Well, anything that Ella Fitzgerald would have sung, or Sarah Vaughan, or Dean Martin, or Frank Sinatra.
Oh, Dean Martin. Oh my God, I love. Oh well, how about? Gosh, now I'm freezing, guys. What is a great Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald song? How about? I Did It My Way.
Oh, let's see. Okay, you might have caught me. Did I do it my way?
And now,
now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain.
My friend, I said it clear.
And of which I'm certain. I've lived, I've laughed, I've tried, and making words up as I go.
All right, fly me to the moon. Do one you know.
Woo, that was hard.
Yeah.
Fly me to the moon and let me wait among the stars. Let me see what life is like on Jupiter or Mars. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.
Fill my life with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worshiped and
And the
adore.
door.
In other
In other
words,
words,
please
please
be
be
true.
true.
Yes.
I know it's too high. Way still too high in that register.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an unwarmed up voice for you.
Yeah. This was just totally improvised, guy. We had no idea we were doing this, and this could actually affect the YouTube because when you sing the songs, they flag it or whatever. Darn, because people
Oh
actually
boy.
watch this. Kat wants to know where is the millet loaf recipe? You also you have the pre-packaged food that people can still buy, and you have a millet loaf.
Oh yeah, you can go to the Wellness Forum. You can call up Wellness Forum at 614-841-7700 and order. Get our catalog sent to you. We have an e-catalog, and included in that is the millet loaf and several other mixes like it. There is one recipe for millet loaf in the Forks Over Knives cookbook, but my current favorite version is in the China Study Family cookbook under meatballs. It's more of a Mediterranean version and has sun-dried tomatoes, artichoke hearts, and fennel seed in it, and it's delicious. I fed it to Rip Esselstyn on stage in Cleveland, and he just about ran to every table trying to steal what he could off the tables. So it's a good. I think it might have pine nuts in it too. Now, if you're doing watching your weight, you can leave the nuts out of it, but not a lot in there. But it's a good one. I make meatballs out of it. I mix it with my cheese sauce and make a Mediterranean melt. Yum. And I make sloppy joes out of it too. Oh, love those sloppy joes.
Well, they should be. If you make them, shouldn't they be sloppy dells?
Well, yeah, but you know what? There's that. Yeah, we can't go there.
Judy says, "Are you back working with the Wellness Forum?"
I've not officially left the Wellness Forum, but I'm not back in the kitchen at the Wellness Forum. We are both considering ideas going forward for what my partnership will look like there, and I'll always be family there. That's those are my people. They've treated me well over the years, and Dr. Popper has been a very good friend, an incredible business partner, and a good mentor, and she still is my mentor. So. But I'll see you at conference this year. I'll be there for that, but not on a day-to-day basis in the same way that I was.
You think there will be a conference? So many of them have been canceled.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, won't we? That's a whole new realm. You know, the Wellness Forum quickly, because we do online education already, have already moved a lot of. We got virtual yoga online, virtual gym, our virtual workouts online. So you might see what everybody else is doing and see that that virtual conference of some sort. I imagine there'll be something.
Wow, nice. So how are you spending your days in captivity?
Well, I spend about an hour a day working with my physical therapist, and that's intense. Right now, the exercises sometimes leave me unable to do much else. But I'm doing them and getting better one day at a time. I am learning to speak Spanish, and that is in anticipation of some work that I may be doing in the Caribbean. That's up in the air at this moment, but I'm still practicing my Spanish every day. I spend a great deal of time. I do my 15 to 30 minutes of Facebook Live every day at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. I get on there and talk on any number of variety of topics. Not as organized as you. I've been looking at yours and seeing how organized you are, and wondering if I want to be that organized or not.
Well, tell me what the name of your Facebook page is, and I'll give everyone the link.
Sure, it's Chef Del Sroufe.
Okay.
Or no, it's on my Del Sroufe page. Sorry, you'll find it on the Del Sroufe page, and it's live at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Well, that's early for me, though.
I'm sorry, sweetie.
I'll link to the page.
Yeah. So there's that, and then I call my mommy every day after I do my Facebook Live, because she's 83 and quarantined, and I sit and have conversations with the people that I know who are quarantined who aren't getting out. And my mother's, she's a powerhouse. She's a strong, and she might be looking still if Jeffrey, she lives with my brother, but I try and call them every day and talk every day, talk to family and friends every day. And then some days I still stare at the walls. I don't know about you guys, but I either stare at the walls or I get in the car and I'll go for a ride, making sure to stay socially distanced. I don't go anywhere in particular, but just to get out in the world sometimes is good. Go to a park and sit and feel the sunshine. I did my garden shopping last week, and I'm hoping my neighbor will feel like helping me plant the garden this year. So, lots of movies, lots of television, trying to eat. And then, to be honest, there's probably a certain amount of time every day that I spend fighting off the food demons. When you have that much free time on your hand, then, as you know, they're there. And so luckily in my house, there's nothing really bad to eat here. There's no potato chips and beer and chocolate and sugar or anything like that. So it's not like I can run in the kitchen and get something. So that helps a lot. So about the worst thing I could probably eat might be a peanut butter sandwich, which even I get tired of, and I love peanut butter.
Peanut butter is crack.
It's crack, but
Yep.
You got to watch it. I don't let it in the house all the time.
Yeah. So Inez says if you need an interpreter, she'll be happy to go to the Caribbean with you. And Kirsten says, what's your favorite food to bring to a potluck?
Oh, well, I belong to an international dinner club. I have a group of friends from high school. We've been together almost 40 years now, but we've been doing our international dinner club for, I don't know, maybe 15 years or so, 20 maybe, since the kids were born. So for a long time. But in the beginning, it was once a month we would get together with some theme. So it was either Italian or Moroccan or Thai or whatever. And we would all bring food to share and we would cook together. Now we do it maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And I smell falafel. And we still pick different themes, but I like the fact that the themes change. And I say it because I'm not one of those people whom eats the same food over and over again. I think if I were, I would be a thin person. In other words, where I have the most eating success healthfully are those places where I get up every morning and eat my oatmeal. I get up every day and have a soup and a salad for lunch. Those things are set in stone and they don't change much, right? But it's at night when you have choices, and when you give yourself too many choices, it's too easy for those choices to go awry. And I know this is about a potluck conversation, but I take a wide variety of things to a potluck depending upon where I'm going and what I'm doing. So I might take the falafel that we're having today and take that as an appetizer. I'll often call the host and find out if they have a theme or if they have anything in particular they'd like to see. Other than that, I'll take maybe a pesto pasta or something like that. I try to make foods that are approachable because I go to a lot of potlucks that aren't vegan. And so I'll try to go with something that I think that the mainstream public would like, vegan or not.
Yep. Carolyn says variety is the spice of life, but the death of weight loss. That's what I've always said. Variety is the kiss of death for the food addict. So let's see. There's a question about Ethiopian food from Stephanie. Have you ever successfully made traditional injera using teff flour? I've attempted, and while the flavor is good, the texture is not.
No, I've never made it, and I'll tell you why. We have a plethora of Ethiopian bakeries here in town, so I've always gone out to the bakery out on the east side of town, and you could buy a package of 12. This was years ago, 12 for $5. So they were very, very cheap, and they did a perfect job at it. But no, I've never made it. One of our gluten-free restaurants here in town, Portia's, which is a vegan diner, actually uses injera for all of her wraps, but I've not really made it.
Nice. LM says, what do you recommend for folks who cannot eat beans like lima beans, pinto beans, etc.?
Well, and you probably agree with this. I don't think beans are the absolute necessity for being healthy. Starchy foods are. So I imagine if I weren't eating beans, I'd be eating more potatoes or sweet potatoes. But on the other side of that, I guess I'd want to know why you weren't able to eat beans, because I think that a healthy digestive system can eat most food. So unless there's a specific reason why you can't, then I'd try to find that out, because they sure are a powerhouse of nutrition, and there are so many of them out there that it really adds to the plethora of variety for your diet.
Judy says, thanks for sharing your struggles. We all can relate. Hey, when you cook grains, Del, like rice or millet, do you always cook them just on the stove, or do you ever use something like a rice cooker?
I know that you and I have talked about this before, but no, I'm pretty much a stovetop guy. I've not added that one more. It took me 20 years to get a Vitamix in my house. So I'm just now catching up to that. But I haven't gone the route of rice cooker or anything like that yet. And I don't cook that much of it. I mean, for me, I get up on a Monday morning and I throw 4 cups of rice and 8 cups of water into the thing, and I come back 45 minutes later and I've got rice.
I guess I just like things that I don't have to babysit. I like putting it in, pushing a button, and then doing something else.
Yeah, I guess I don't feel like it's babysitting, but I think I think what works for you is what's important. I think what makes this easier and doable for you, and I'm talking about the general you out there, is what you do, right? And then if you want to use a rice cooker or any of those newfangled things, Chef AJ is your go-to person because she's a master of it. I've watched her do it. So there's assistants out there, and she can show you how to do it and do it successfully.
Nice. So do you have you've met a lot of the other plant-based chefs at the conferences and probably just in your life. Do you have other ones that you enjoy? Like, 'cause I'm trying to get as many chefs on this show as possible, because I love interviewing doctors, but as I always say, at the end of the day, you can't eat the science. And so I have one coming up, and I don't know if you know him or not, if you guys crossed paths, Chef Eric Le Chasseur.
No, I don't know Eric. I have not met him, and there's a lot of chefs I haven't met. We tend to stay locked into our own little bubble. I know your buddy, Chef Ramsay's, and he's a great guy. And I know some of the bigger stars of the world. Chefs are not, but no, not really. Like I said, I tend to stay locked into my own bubble. I'm not attending events these days. There are some interesting celebrity types coming out of the movement. The woman who just produced a book, she's African American, and she's 60-some years old. She looks like she's 30, and eats a plant-based diet. And she is trying to get a movement of 10,000 African American women to join her. What is her name?
Is it Karen? Is her name Karen, or is it Chef Babette?
Babette might be who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
If it's Babette, she's coming on the show. If it's Babette.
Yeah. But I know some local people I could maybe send your way, but I haven't necessarily tried their food to know if it's really good.
Yeah. Cool.
You can have me back as often as you want, because here's why. Every time you have me on for cooking, it means I have something to eat for dinner that night.
That is hilarious. Ramses said the same thing, because I always, when he came on, I said, so what are you going to, he was on much earlier. I said, what are you going to have for lunch today? He goes, this.
Yep. I'm all about it. I'm going to go and check on our falafel.
Sandra says it's somebody named Tracy McQuarter.
That's it.
Okay. I think I met her once at a conference. I don't know her well, but Chef Babette is definitely going to be on. Chef Babette is, I think she's 70 maybe, or she's definitely older than me. And she does push-ups and she is incredible. She owns a restaurant in Inglewood called Stuff I Eat. And we've had her several times at our conferences and she's just amazing. Mike says, what about fava beans? What about fava beans, Mike? And by the way, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. We love having you. So are the patties ready?
Fava beans. I've got a couple of recipes I've used with them. I'm having a moment here because I think I overcooked my falafel a little bit.
That's okay.
And here's,
so
here, I'm gonna
oh, sorry.
I'll show them to you anyway. They look like cookies, but they taste delicious. Can you see them there?
Oh, yum.
Yeah, so those are going to be perfect, I think. A little bit overcooked, but that doesn't bother me.
I love a little crunch.
Yeah, a little crunch is good, but with that, my oven runs so hot and it happens so quickly. Fava beans. They make a delicious, garlic and cumin and a little bit of lemon pureed. They make another version of hummus, and they have their own distinct flavor. They're in season right now because they're an early spring bean. So you can buy them fresh, and if you've never had them fresh, they are quite a treat. Fresh and green, actually, compared to the dried and brown. And then they eat them as a breakfast. Let's see, in Egypt, what is the dish they make for breakfast with them? It's really good. But there's so many varieties of beans out there that we touch the surface with what we have in the grocery store. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I say, I'm always encouraging people to become food adventurers. Now, I take that back. I don't say it as much given what we know about weight loss. And I think you're right that I think there's something about variety in our foods that can be dangerous and can be a trigger. So if you find that you're that person who gets triggered by having to make food choices, stop. All right. Make yourself a big pot of soup on Monday and eat it throughout the week. Otherwise, there's a plethora of things like beans in the world that we don't ever try. So maybe every Monday you try a different bean, right? So buy red lentils and make red lentil hummus and make a quick red lentil stew with cumin, garlic, lemon, and some cilantro. So and try things that way.
Hey, Del, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but have you ever seen anything like this happen?
What is that?
This is the top of my Blendtec blender. And I don't usually do smoothies, but I had interviewed Dr. Jen Hawk on Tuesday, and she was telling me about this smoothie she makes with cilantro and frozen banana. It sounded delicious. And I put in my almond milk and my cilantro, and I always blend my greens first. And then I literally put in one frozen banana, and man, it literally 10 feet. It took hours for Charles to clean the kitchen. How do you think something like this happens?
Did you use a whole banana?
Yeah, but I broke it up. I mean, yeah. And I've used it many times before. I've even put 4 bananas in sometimes.
How old is your blender?
I'm thinking 2006. I
imagine do you put your Blendtec, put that in the dishwasher?
I don't, and I switch off using the Vitamix and the Blendtec. So I think the blender's fine. It's just this has seen better days.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that, AJ. I think you have magic powers.
Yeah, I wrote them and I sent them a picture. I haven't heard back yet, so I hope they'll replace it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I mean, it must have been that the perfect piece of banana got enough centrifugal force to cause some damage. Well, that's crazy and scary.
Oh my God. I wish I could have taken a picture of the mess, but I was just about to go live and it was like, oh, my poor husband. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad there was nobody around to get hit from that. Yeah. Might have been a weak spot in the manufacturing, not making plastics like they used to. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Stephanie says, what are your favorite non-common herbs or spices or blends such as za'atar?
I just ordered, I reordered all my spices. You keep your spices for about 6 months. It's time to go fresh. And since I'm not cooking a lot, I had a lot of them that started to go a little bit pale on me. But I just reordered, and I don't know that I order anything too exotic. But I have allspice and cloves and basil and coriander and dill and garlic powder. I use a granulated garlic and fennel and fenugreek and marjoram. And I mean, I have a lot of the standards. I have a lot. And I think that that's the key to getting flavor in your foods. But I don't think there's anything really exotic in there. Tarragon is one of my favorite herbs. Oregano, and so all the classic Italian herbs, so your basil and your oregano, and I have marjoram. I'm trying to think if there's anything unusual. All your chili powders and cumins for your Latin foods. So I tend to buy herbs and spices based upon where in the world I'm cooking, if that makes sense.
I've never bought or used marjoram for some reason.
It has a somewhat distinctive flavor similar to oregano. So it's pretty good.
That's great. Have you ever used salsify?
No.
That's a spice though, right?
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, Caroline, but I'll ask Del as well. How much dry herbs replace fresh herbs? I believe it's 3-to-1, right, Del? If you have a teaspoon of dry, you need 3 teaspoons of fresh.
Yeah, it's a 3-to-1 thing.
Yeah. Anne says, how do you use fenugreek? And the King Shield says, what does fenugreek taste similar to?
Oh, fenugreek is a very pungent flavor. I'll keep this G-rated, but there's another spice in Indian cooking. It's usually served as a blend of spices. And so with spice blending in Indian cooking especially, you see herbs and spices down the pungent end. So garlic is pungent, right? It has that rich, earthy kind of flavor. Fenugreek is pungent, but different from garlic. And then you have bright, astringent herbs and spices like cloves, cinnamon, coriander, etc. So you have this whole range of spices and flavors, and if you blend them correctly, you come up with some really amazing garam masalas and curries and things like that. But with fenugreek, the key is a little goes a long way. And I actually think that's true out of most of your Indian spices. You know, you'll see coriander is pretty up there, and cumin are both up there, but you won't see lots of other, like fenugreek, you use just a pinch of. Asafoetida is the stinkiest spice on the planet, and yet a pinch of it, it's also known as hing, H-I-N-G, a pinch of it goes a long way towards giving you the umami, the savory flavor in foods.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone named Facebook user. There's a lot of people named Facebook user. Say, where do you order your spices from? I get mine from Local Spicery. I'll type the link. You get 2 free samples with AJ. They have some incredible blends, Del, like pepperoni spice and gingerbread spice. It's just, they're really high quality spices, non-irrigated, small batch, organic.
Interesting. I currently order mine from Atlantic Spice out of Massachusetts. And we've been ordering them in bulk for years. So you get discounts based upon how many pounds you order. Now that I'm cooking at home, you can still order like 2 and 3 ounce bags of them. I'm going to show you my one of 2 bags here that I just ordered, just came in. Here in my, here are the spices that I just ordered. Everything bagel mix, I'm looking forward, that's a new one.
Oh, I use that, Del. I get it salt-free at Sprouts, and I use it on my everything bagels.
Trying to make sure. Oh, darn it. I wish this one didn't have salt. I was looking for salt-free. Cardamom.
Oh, cardamom's great.
Is a great spice. I used to make a pear and cardamom cake. You make like an applesauce cake, but you use pears instead. And the flavor of pears and cardamom together are simply fabulous.
Yep, a match made in heaven.
Chinese spice blend. You use just a little in your broth, and it goes a long way. Garam masala. This has coriander, cumin, chilies, cloves, bay leaves, cinnamon, and ginger. Dill, coriander, curry powder. I also blend my own sometimes. So this coriander or curry powder has turmeric, coriander, fenugreek, cumin, black pepper, ginger, mustard seed, fennel, allspice, and red pepper. So the fenugreek, the cumin tend to be down on that pungent end that I talked about. Your fennel, your allspice tend to be your brighter flavors, along with ginger. Paprika, so a smoked paprika, in addition to a regular unsmoked paprika. Chili powder, I buy ancho chili powder, is my number one choice for chili powders. It is from the ancho pepper plant, somewhat mild. It's been smoked, of course, and it really is a good flavor of chili. Nutmeg, tarragon, and then there's another box around here somewhere.
Nice.
Oh, and then there's a cute little package. I don't know what this is. Oh, my favorite spice in the whole wide world, the most expensive thing out there, is saffron.
Wow.
And my goal was to make, I demonstrated oven fried tofu on my website last week. And I don't eat tofu very often because it's high in fat, but it's a nice treat. It's probably my favorite dish on the whole wide planet. You can find the recipe on my Facebook page. Very, very popular. People have been asking me for it for years, but it's oil-free. I use almond flour as part of the coating, nutritional yeast, garlic, sea salt, and then we bake it until crispy. And it has a great crispiness to it, but you don't need to eat a lot of it, right? But I make with it, and here's where I do like using it a little bit more. I put it into a dish, and this is not an original recipe, so you won't find it in my cookbook, called Louisiana Tofu Citron. And you can Google that on the internet and find a version of it, though I make it with my own tofu recipe. It is onions and peppers and mushrooms, sauteed oil-free, oil-free in my kitchen. And then you add garlic, you add grapefruit juice, cayenne pepper, and then you add your oven-fried tofu, and it creates a gravy. And it's insane how good it is. You would think grapefruit juice, no, that's not going to happen. It happens. It's absolutely delicious.
Nice.
So, and then it gets saffron to finish it off.
If for some time, I've gotten the question from people that couldn't find saffron. What would you recommend, turmeric or nothing?
I would leave it out. Saffron is a very distinctive flavor. I order it online, but I've seen it at Kroger's. It's just, it is the world's most expensive spice.
Yeah.
So if budget's an issue, you might just leave it out. But you only use a pinch of it, literally a 16th of a teaspoon per recipe. So when I spend $16 on it, I'll get about 4 uses out of that, most likely. But yeah, I would leave it out.
When in doubt, leave it out. Yeah, I love vanilla powder, and it's the second most expensive spice.
Where do you find vanilla powder that is just vanilla powder?
I have it in my Amazon store. Wow. Recommended one that I have in my Amazon store, and then one is called Wild Foods or something like that. Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good.
Yum.
Yeah. Well, Del, it has just been great catching up with you again. And thank you for sharing the great recipe, guys. I'm not going to type it in the chat because the chat disappears, but you got to give me a few hours till this renders, and it will be on YouTube with the recipe. And please check out Del's books, many of them Forks Over Knives series, but also he has one on his own, Better Than Vegan. He's written China study books. He's got over 800 recipes. Follow him on Facebook. Follow him to Ohio. Maybe he'll be teaching live classes again soon. Who knows?
I'm up for it.
All right. Well, thank
Love
you.
you.
Thanks so much. Love you too. And please come visit me and I will cook for you.
I'm tempted. So I, was supposed to go do a juice fast here in Ohio, and nobody's open. So maybe I'll be coming out and letting you cook for me.
Nice. All right. Well, guys, make sure you please come back tomorrow when we have two fabulous guests at 2 p.m. We have Dr. Steve Lawenda, who is a family practice plant-based physician at Kaiser Permanente, who runs the Plants 180 program and has had amazing results, both in himself losing 70 pounds and with his patients, even saving feet that were going to be amputated. Things like that are very inspiring to hear. And maybe he'll be doing a slide presentation. And at 4 p.m. we have Dr. Baxter Montgomery. He is a plant-based cardiologist in Houston. Thanks, guys, for being here. Please share these interviews and consider subscribing to my email list and on YouTube so that you get notified when I go live. And thanks again, Del. And I hope
Love
to
you.
see
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.